I call this meeting of the Northeast Independent School District to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. The time is 5:30 p.m. This board will now adjourn into executive session pursuant to the following sections of the Texas Open Meetings Act. Texas Government Code Section 551.071, private consultation with the board's attorney. 551.072, discussing purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property. And 551.074, to discuss personnel or to hear complaints against personnel. And the time is 5:31. The board will now convene an open session, and the time is 6:18 p.m. On behalf of the trustees, I'd like to welcome you to this evening's meeting of the Northeast Independent School District Board of Trustees. It is the mission of Northeast to challenge and encourage each student to achieve and demonstrate academic excellence, technical skills, and responsible citizenship. To accomplish this, NEISD utilizes the Balanced District Scorecard to help guide our decision-making process, which fosters balance between our students, our staff, our stakeholders, and responsible stewardship. We appreciate your attendance and expect that everyone will conduct themselves in a respectful and professional manner. As always, we welcome your comments during the Matters from the Floor section of the agenda. If you signed up to address a specific agenda item, you'll be called at that time. Finally, we want to thank you for choosing NEISD and for helping maintain its excellence as a destination school district. Item 5, Invocation and Pledge of Allegiance, Tex Hill Middle School. Mrs. Ramirez-Castaneda.
All right. Good evening, President Byer, members of the board, Mr. Jarrett, executive staff, and guests. My name is Michelle Ramirez-Castaneda, and I am the proud principal of Tex Hill. And this evening, it is my privilege to highlight two of Tex Hill's finest students who exemplified leadership, education, and hard work. Providing the invocation today is Benson Falstich. It is my pleasure to introduce Benson, a 7th grade leader who is already making a significant impact on our campus. While he's only in 7th grade, Benson's resume looks like that of a seasoned veteran. He currently serves as our Student Council Vice President and is a vital member of Student to Student, helping to build our school culture every day. Benson is a student who isn't afraid to try it all. He spent 2 years honing his craft in theater arts, captures our school's history as yearbook staff, and pushes himself as a member of our cross-country and track teams. Through all these commitments, he has stayed focused on his studies, remaining consistently having honor roll for the last 2 years. What he loves about Tex Hill is all his teachers, student council, and loves volunteering and recognizing our veterans during honor flight. What staff had to say about Benson is that he does an outstanding job in broadcast news and will usually take the lead in the production of news stories and the behind-the-scenes setup. Upon graduation, Benson aims to bring his creative talents to Baylor University to pursue his degree in the directing field. Joining Benson tonight are his parents, Rebecca and Stephen Falstich, Grandpa Falstich, and Grandpa and Grandma Reynolds. Please stand up and be recognized. Leading the Pledge of Allegiance and the Texas Pledge is Sarah Stuckey. It is my distinct honor to introduce Sarah, a 7th grade student who truly defines what it means to be a well-rounded tiger. Currently serving as our Student Council Secretary and a dedicated member of our Student to Student, Sarah's leadership is felt across our campus. In the fine arts, she's a triple threat, a member of choir and theater arts, notably performing in the Drowsy Chaperone, and a standout in the Tex Hill Band for the last 2 years. Her talents extend to field and the court as well, where she competes in volleyball, cross country, basketball, track, and soccer. Remarkably, Sarah has balanced this incredible schedule while maintaining honor roll for 2 consecutive years. Beyond our halls, she even finds time to support the Johnson High School Color Guard and marching band. What she loves about Tex Hill is the community, friends, teachers, and coaches. At Hill, she feels everyone tries to build you up to be better at what you do. Sarah has her sights set on becoming a Texas A&M Aggie. Yes, those of us who are Aggies in here, with the goal of serving others through either the medical profession or a career in the Space Force. Today, joining Sarah is her mother, Lindy Stuckey. Ms. Stuckey, would you please stand and be recognized? As you can see, Texas has some bright shining stars, and I can't wait to see what their futures hold with them here in Northeast ISD. Benson and Sarah, please approach the podium for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. Here's yours and then yours.
Good evening, Mr. Jarrett, school board members, faculty, and guests. Please bow your head with me. Thank you for this day. For our board members, Mr. Jarrett, staff, and guests, we will give thanks for having a safe school system, food, blessings, and hope for one another. Let love, kindness, and spirit always be reflected in our actions. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to my flag and the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Sarah and Benson, thank you all for being here. If you all want to come up forward, we've got some certificates and take a picture with you. All right, thank you all again for being here. You do not have to stay. You're welcome to go if you want to. You can stay. I mean, we've got a lot to talk about. If you want to talk about math curriculum, it's coming up. Thank you. Appreciate y'all. All right, item 6, recognitions, a president's comments, acknowledgement of special calendar events. In the next month, we have the following this week. March 6th is Maintenance Worker Appreciation Day. April 1st is Paraprofessional Appreciation Day. April 4th is National School Librarian Day. So go check out your books. And April 6th through 10th is National Assistant Principal Week, and we request that nobody get in trouble those weeks so that our APs can take a little break. This is also Fine Arts in Our Schools Month. Fine arts education, including music, dance, theater, and visual arts, plays a vital role in the development of the whole child by encouraging creativity, critical thinking, collaboration, communication, and self-expression. These programs enrich our schools, strengthen student engagement, and build lifelong appreciation for the arts. So throughout the month of March, it is Fine Arts in Our Schools Month. Item 7, matters from the floor. Mrs. Thompson.
Excuse me. The trustees welcome comments from members of the public during this time of the meeting. Generally, board members do not respond to public comments during the meeting, although members may request further information or a further agenda item on a matter raised during public comment. As explained fully in the board's written procedures for this time, the matters from the floor portion is a limited public forum. Accordingly, speakers may present on a topic related to district business for up to 3 minutes, but are not permitted to make 1, personal complaints about an individual staff or board member. That should be raised using the district's grievance policies. 2, a personnel action. 3, a student disciplinary matter. 4, a complaint about a particular student. 5, pending litigation. Any person who persists in speaking on these topics after being directed not to do so will lose the remainder of their time to speak and may lose their privilege of addressing the board at any future meetings. If you signed up to speak on a specific agenda item, you will be called up when the board reaches that item. Please remember that this is a business meeting of the board. Any person or group engaging in outbursts of any kind, causing a disruption to the meeting, will be warned, and if they persist, will be removed from the meeting. This is to ensure that all speakers have an opportunity to make comments without interruption and that the board members are able to pay full attention to the speakers without any distractions. We also welcome written comments at any time, either through email at board@neisd.net or by mail, care of the Superintendent's Office at 8961 Tesoro Drive, 6th floor, San Antonio, Texas, 78217. And there was a scratch out on number 1, so we're moving to number 2.
Good evening. President Byer, members of the board, Dr. Jarrett. I'm Tom Cummins, representing Northeast AFT. We're concerned with the district's policies regarding the Open Records Act. The frustration is that the law is being ignored, in our view, in some instances. Recently, candidates filed for 3 positions on the NEISD board. As they submitted their candidate applications, their names and applications became public information and should have been readily available to anyone who wanted to know who filed. The names were not posted as the applications came in, which has been the practice in some districts in the past. Nor were their names available if requested by phone or otherwise. We were required to submit an open records request, which, despite being just a request for a few readily available pages, took days to deliver. Instead, even though the filing ended on Friday, we had to wait until Monday evening to know all the names of the candidates and which districts they were in. Hiding the names can be a way to influence an election, as some people know what is happening and others don't. I'm sure that wasn't the intent, but nevertheless, it's not a transparent process. The second issue with the district and the open records is the rights of an employee to all information in any and all files in the district. Tonight, a teacher is on your agenda who was told the district had certain information, but when the teacher submitted an open records request, the teacher was told there was no response to the documents, they were not responsive to her request. They didn't exist according to this. I messed that up. If the teacher doesn't know the accusatory information used to make recommendations to the board, then how could the teacher have shown the administration that the accusation isn't correct? Oddly enough, the notice of no responsive documents was received today, the 12th day of the request, 2 days over the limit. Government Code 552.023 provides a special right of access to information that relates to an employee and is protected from public disclosure by privacy laws. There was an investigation, and the teacher is entitled to all documents, any complaints or witness statements, and all investigatory findings. We believe that this information is being withheld. As the teacher's name is probably on the agenda tonight, we urge you not to act on it. The teacher should have a right to all the documentation prior to the administration making a recommendation.
That's time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 3.
Good evening. Good evening. So, my name is Sharonda Smith. I'm a parent and an educator, and someone who believes deeply in the strength of public education in our district. At the last board meeting, I spoke about the importance of continuing to expand programs like our magnet school CTE programs or creating micro school programs in order to increase enrollment. Tonight, I'd like to highlight another program that I believe represents an important step forward for NEISD, the Academy of Creative Education, or ACE. ACE shows that when we create smaller relationship or centered learning environments, students who may struggle in traditional setting can reconnect with school and find success. Programs like this recognize that one size does not fit all when it comes to learning. As the district faces enrollment challenges and difficult decisions about campuses, I would encourage the board to consider whether models like ACE could be expanded or adapted for younger high school students, particularly those in the 9th and 10th grade. As an educator, I've had students in 9th or 10th grade that have expressed interest in getting into ACE. Some accomplished their goal and eventually graduated from high school, ACE being one of the high schools they may have graduated from. Others, I'm just left with a question mark, because their attendance slowly dissipated to the point of truancy and then non-attendance and disenrollment. The transition into high school is often one of the most critical points in a student's academic journey. When students disengage at that stage, it can be very difficult to bring them back. So my hope is that NEISD continues to lead by expanding opportunities rather than limiting them. When we offer a variety of learning pathways, we give families more reason to stay in our district and keep their children connected to our schools and communities that they call home. Thank you for your time and for your service.
Thank you. We don't typically respond after matters from the floor, but we do have the opportunity to, and I want to say, Ms. Smith, we do have, that program is being expanded. I guess I want to state that publicly, that we've talked about that in the past. And so Mr. Jarrett can have somebody from staff reach out if you'd like more information about that. But anyway, just wanted everybody to know that that is something that's on our horizon for that program. Item 8, matters from executive session. A, personnel including but not limited to administrative appointments pursuant to Government Code Section 551.074. 1, possible action regarding routine personnel including but not limited to administrative appointments. No action. 2, possible action regarding proposed recommendation for termination of Chapter 21 probationary contract employees. Do I have a motion to approve as presented?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Villarreal. Do I have a second?
May I ask a question?
Oh, yes.
Mr. Cummings had some concerns raised, and I think we're talking about two different people, maybe? I know we can't name names, but.
No, I mean, if we need clarification, we'll have to adjourn into executive session to have
Okay.
that conversation. So if you'd like to, we can do that.
I would like to.
Okay. Do we have to? Okay. At this time, the board will take a quick adjournment into executive session, and the time is 6:36. All right, the board will now convene in open session, and the time is 6:42 p.m. Back to this item, Mrs. Landry.
Yes, thank you for allowing us the time to go into executive session for clarification. It appears that the delay of providing the data was due to a pending AG opinion, and that the individual in question has received the information requested. Therefore, I'd like to second the motion.
Okay. We have first Ms. Villarreal, a second from Mrs. Landry. We'll do a roll call. Ms. Thompson?
Aye.
Mrs. Chichi?
Aye.
Mr. Byer? Aye. Mrs. Villarreal?
Aye.
Mrs. Landry?
Aye.
Thank you all very much. Motion passes 5-0. Item 9, presentations. A, intruder detection audit. Mr. Jarrett.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board, executive staff, and guests. I would like to note that we had 6 intruder detection audits, and all of those audits came back clear. And so all of our schools are doing a really nice job of making sure doors are closed and locked and secure appropriately. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Item B, right-of-way agreements with Outer Loop Utility at Reagan High School and Hill Middle School. Mrs. Caldwell.
Mr. President, members of the board, Mr. Jarrett, executive staff, and guests, we received notification from Outer Loop Utility requesting easement access at 2 of our campuses. We have with us tonight from Howard Energy Partners, who would be owning, operating, and maintaining that utility easement for an underground natural gas pipeline to deliver additional gas to the northern part of Bexar County. We have with us tonight from Howard Energy Partners, Shay Blunser and Brandon Birch, who have a short presentation to explain the request for easement right-of-way agreements. This is just a presentation tonight and no action. So I'd like to call them up to the podium.
Hello. Good evening, Mr. President, board members, Mr. Jarrett, executive staff, and guests. My name is Shay Blunser, and I'm here as a part of the Howard Energy Partners team developing the Outer Loop utility project. First, thank you for the opportunity to visit with us tonight. We recognize that as leaders of Northeast Independent School District, your responsibility is to that of the students, the families, and the neighborhoods in this community, and that's exactly why we wanted to come here and speak directly with you. We're excited about this project. We're excited because it's right here in our own front yard. Howard Energy Partners is a San Antonio company. We live here, we work here, our employees raise their families here, and in fact, more than a dozen children of Howard employees attended an NEISD school today. This isn't just where we do business. San Antonio is our home. Howard Energy was intentionally founded in San Antonio nearly 15 years ago to build a company rooted in the community, and we approach our work with a decades-long commitment because this is where we live and raise our families. Being a good neighbor and a long-term partner in the communities we serve has been a core principle of how we operate, and it's been that way from the very beginning. And as a part of that commitment, we've implemented a proactive outreach effort to engage stakeholders across the project corridor. Our work has included coordination with the state, multiple counties and municipalities, homeowners associations, as well as discussions with more than 20 federal, state, and locally elected officials. Our goal has been simple: communicate early, address concerns directly, and keep stakeholders informed as the project progresses. The Outer Loop Utility Project is an important piece of infrastructure that will strengthen long-term energy reliability in North San Antonio while supporting the residential and economic growth our region has been experiencing. The project also complements the hundreds of miles of natural gas pipelines already in place that safely deliver energy to homes, schools, and businesses across our community every day. Pipeline infrastructure is what we do. Howard Energy Partners owns and operates nearly 2,000 miles of pipeline systems across the United States, and we have a strong record of doing so safely and responsibly. But above all else, safety is our number one priority. Our projects are designed, constructed, and operated under rigorous industry and regulatory standards. Safety isn't just a requirement for us. It's fundamental to our responsibility to our employees and the communities where we operate. With that in mind, we're committed to continuing to work closely with NEISD leadership and staff throughout this process. We want to thank your team for the time and attention they've already dedicated to this project over the past several months. The route you're seeing tonight was developed in collaboration with NEISD personnel, and they have been great partners to work with. With us this evening is a host of Howard Energy subject matter experts to answer some questions, but right now, right behind me, is Brandon Birch. Brandon is the Chief Operating Officer for Howard Energy Partners. Not only is he responsible for this project, but he was also responsible for its operation whenever it's commissioned. I'm going to turn it over to Brandon. He's going to take us through the project in more detail.
Good evening. As Shay indicated, my name's Brandon Birch, but I'm not only the Chief Operating Officer for Howard Energy. I'm a husband. I'm a father of 3 children, 2 of which graduated from Churchill High School. We have a lot of fond memories of watching my kids go through Hidden Forest Elementary, Bradley Middle School, my son working very hard to join the golf team, my daughter working extremely hard to be a head cheerleader. And one thing I'll never forget, when my oldest son Brady was going through life-threatening medical issues, the way the district showed up, the principals, the teachers, and the counselors to support me and my wife. The Outer Loop Utility Project isn't just a project for Howard Energy, it's a project for our community. San Antonio has experienced massive infrastructure growth, and you can't have that type of growth without reliable energy being a component of that. That's something we do very well. Now, we realize there are concerns regarding the pipeline routing of the Outer Loop utility. This pipeline starts on the southeast corner of San Antonio and makes its way all the way up to the north side. So, when we look at a project like this, we realize those concerns are valid. So what we're doing today is showing up to be transparent, ensuring we're making ourselves accessible not only today but through the duration of the project, and answered any unknown questions. Ultimately, our goal is to partner with NEISD leadership, the communities we operate in, and the parents. The first property I want to talk about is Tex Hill Middle School. We are following the existing corridor. Our pipeline maps the blue line that goes adjacent to the school. We met with local school leadership to discuss safety protocols, construction protocols, and looking to get approval to construct by April so we minimize any impact and maximize our time during the summer schedule. We won't be entering the fence line at all or impacting any activities within the middle school property itself. Everything will occur on the corridor. Now, moving to Reagan High School, we started looking at routes associated with this section of the line back in April of 2025. We heavily evaluated going down a utility corridor just adjacent to the baseball and softball fields, but ultimately that corridor was deemed unconstructable for several reasons. The structure that the power lines are on, the lack of workspace, a new neighborhood development just across the street, and we would have to impact access, ingress, and egress to the school by demoing out the parking lot and then having to lay the pipe all the way adjacent to the baseball and softball fields. So earlier this year, we developed the route. This is the current proposed route in blue. And we met on site with local leadership staff from the high school. Overall, we felt that that meeting was positive. We discussed what the project was about, what our protocols were about, and in fact, this portion of the line will be constructed using a HDD, horizontal directional drill. The entry and exit holes won't even be on the school property, and there'll be minimal impact as far as mobbing in or mobbing out. The workers that will be constructing this pipeline will access the entry and exit hole off-site, not through the campus. Now, I can tell you this horizontal drill is very much engineered per the land it's on. We take geotech samples and we engineer the depth of the profile. On average, the 1,600 feet will be 40 to 60 feet below grade. In fact, we won't even touch any of the school property when you think about open ditch or any other construction method. Everything will be below grade, minimizing any disruption during summer hours within the school. So from a technical standpoint, what we like to do is partner with strong, experienced firms. We look at an engineered profile, and then we go out and execute the project. With me today is Mitch Smolik. Mitch is our VP of Engineering and oversees all construction activities. Mitch also lives within the NEISD district, and his kids attend schools here. Now, shifting to an operations oversight standpoint, this pipeline will be monitored 24/7 from our control room here in San Antonio. We will have dedicated personnel that will oversee all activities of this line once it's commissioned. They'll be conducting the maintenance. They'll be interacting with our partners and landowners and be conducting routine patrols. On top of that, on every 5-year cycle, we will actually inject a robotic inline inspection that will look at the full 60 miles of the pipeline to ensure the integrity is sound at all times. And with me today is also Manuel McBride. He's our VP of Operations. He and his team will oversee all aspects of this pipeline going forward. Safety isn't just a priority for us during the construction activities. It's involved in the life cycle of our assets. As Shay indicated, one of our guiding principles was to be headquartered in San Antonio and have a long-term focus. We think in decades, and we're extremely proud to be recognized as a prudent operator in our industry. In fact, the largest industry groups in the U.S., the Gas Processor Association, known as the GPA, the International Liquids and Terminals Association, the ILTA, and the Union Pacific Rail all gave us top-tier safety awards in 2025. In regards to checks and balances, we are one of the most highly regulated industries within the U.S. We interact at a federal level with agencies like PHMSA, and from a state standpoint, the Railroad Commission, TCEQ, GLO, and the Coast Guard, just to name a few. In 2025, we were audited by these various agencies 45 times, and I'm extremely proud to report that yielded 0 notices of violations and 0 findings. So again, we're here today with the goal to partner with you on this project going forward. We realize safety is a priority, and we recognize the responsibility that comes with building infrastructure in our city. Thank you for your time today, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Awesome. Mr. Birch, Mr. Blunster, thank you all very much for being here and fielding some questions. I know we have some board members that have some questions. And before we get into that, Ms. Caldwell, we were given a copy of an agreement. Is that the latest version of that, or is that just a draft?
That is the latest version. Okay. Working with our attorney, we have sent numerous edits over a period of several weeks to Howard Energy to create that agreement from a base model. So it's reflective of NEISD's requests. Okay. And it's in your packet tonight as a reference. Again, you're not taking action tonight, but we wanted you to see that right-of-way agreement language so you understood what is being requested.
So if we have questions specifically about the agreement, can we ask those out here?
We can. Okay. Some of that might also be for Rick Lopez, if I'm not able to answer, but
and that's
yes.
fine. That's fine. Okay, just wanted to. Ms. Villarreal.
Why are you insisting on running your lines across our school, where our schools are located?
Sure. I understand the question and the concerns associated with that. Unfortunately, when you look at the growth in the San Antonio area, to be able to install this pipeline limits our access. So we have to look at corridors and be able to look at construction methods to be able to route this pipeline accordingly to the various different points on the system.
Well, I'm very concerned about this because we have kids in those schools, and while you may have children in other schools in our district, it's these schools I'm concerned about. What is the wall thickness on this pipe, and what is the actual material that you are using on this pipe?
Sure. This is carbon steel. It's got 0.5 or half an inch wall thickness. It will have FBE coating, and actually through this drill section, it'll have a second layer of coating called ARO. This pipe will be welded, inspected, pressure tested accordingly before it's ever put into service.
And what is the life expectancy on each section once it goes into the ground?
If a pipeline's properly maintained, it can be in operation for well over 100 years.
Well, we all know that that's not going to happen in our soils and everything here. It's, we have a lot of shifting and things like this. Of course, in this area, we have a lot of limestone that you're going to have to go through. But still, I'm in this, you can say I deal with soils and things in this industry. So I'm concerned that you're trying to route this right through our schools. I think that I'm looking at this, you've made a deliberate cut. You come in straight, and then you go, you make a dramatic left-hand turn in order to go across our campus on Reagan High School. And I'm trying to figure out, why couldn't you route it a different way and stay off our school?
Sure, yeah. The routes that we looked at coming in from the north, again, highly congested area, neighborhood development, lack of workspace, and ultimately it would impact the school from a construction standpoint. So coming down and boring under the school, again, 40 to 60 foot deep, is the preferred method to minimize any disruption from school activities. Along with that, some of the things you note regarding soils and so forth, the pipeline integrity plan incorporates AC mitigation and various readings that we will take to ensure the integrity of our pipeline at all times.
Okay. When you say you're going to bore, are you going to be doing this from above grade, or are you going to actually use a bore unit, which goes underneath?
Sure. Let me get to a blown. Oh, sorry. If you'll see here noted the HDD entry and HDD exit, at the entry will be the boring machine, and you're exactly right. It bores underground at a certain profile, and then the pipe's welded up towards the exit, which is why you need that real estate to be able to weld it up, and the pipe is pulled through underground. And so both of those activities, again, happening outside of the school fence, not impacting anything going on during the summer months.
Okay, will we have any possibility, I understand it's 60 feet, but we also have a problem in San Antonio with sinkholes. Can this create a sinkhole situation later, because you are going to undermine this by going in and going through, you are going to create a hollow. So what are you going to do to address that?
Sure, that hollow will actually be filled with the pipe, so that the pipe will fill that void accordingly. And the profile of the drill, it's very, very specific, rigorous, detailed engineering and stress calculations to come up with that bore profile based on the geotech on this specific plot of land.
Okay, so what is the diameter on that pipe?
This is a 20-inch pipe.
20 inches. Okay, so that probably wouldn't do a sinkhole. That's good. All right, that's all the questions I have right now.
Anybody have some before I jump in? Oh, I got Miss Landry. I couldn't see her water bottle was.
Just a couple of questions. Are there other schools? Can you go back to the first picture where it shows the pipelines
Oh, sure.
all the way around?
Tex Hill?
No, one more back, I think.
Okay, Reagan?
No, where it shows the route for all the pipelines.
Okay.
The full route from south.
The entire project.
Oh, I'm sorry, that was the very first slide.
Yes, this one. Are there any existing pipelines under existing schools in San Antonio, whether northeast or not?
You know, a lot of pipelines use natural gas within their facilities, just from a utility standpoint.
Okay, so these lines in particular, are they under existing schools at all?
I can't speak to those lines, whether they go directly under any structures or not. Typically, that would not be the case as far as pipelines going under structures.
Okay, and it looks like they skirt the outer areas of the city pretty well. Is there not potential for us to go further north? I know you said ease of access or...
Yeah, based on where we need to deliver the gas, and so the pipeline, the outer loop pipeline, are these three segments. And so the routing is tied to where the demand increase is. So all gas comes into the southeast point, and then it's offloaded at different points as you make the loop around San Antonio.
And what are the potential hazards for our pipeline?
You know, a lot of the hazards, just when you look at global issues, involve third-party excavations and people getting, too close to your pipeline and not following the rules and regulations. Other people have issues from an integrity standpoint. So, again, where we like to start our project, sound engineering, sound practices from a construction standpoint, making sure we're partnering with an experienced contractor who knows how to lay pipeline within congested areas and has done that for well over a decade. And then once you put that into service, you got to have the right people in the right places monitoring the pipe and ensuring that we're doing everything from a procedure standpoint to keep that integrity sound going forward.
And with all of those things in place, I'm sure your firm has some sort of statistical analysis on what the potential is for situations to occur.
Yeah, I would say, in fact, we design our pipelines against those worst-case scenarios. So when you think about the wall thickness of the pipe, who's going to manufacture it, how we're going to weld it and test it, how we're going to put it through a rigorous pressure test prior to putting it in service. And then again, using robotic tools, using the experience and various readings, that pipeline's monitored 24/7 accordingly.
And so from a statistical standpoint, what is the average rate of failure?
I don't know that I've seen that stat. I know over the past year in the U.S., PHMSA reported there were 111 pipeline ruptures that they investigated, and about 80 to 85% of those were due to third-party interference or people working around the line. And again, as we're coming through Reagan High School, we're 40 to 60 feet below grade, and the entry and exit are off school property.
And so if something catastrophic were to happen, what's with that depth and with the distance of the pipeline away from the buildings, what would be the potential for something to damage a building or cause harm to a student? So from a worst-case rupture standpoint, our radius of exposure on a 20-inch pipeline is about 470 feet. I think the high school itself is over 700 feet away.
But keep in mind, we have safety devices on mainline valves in 2-mile sections. So any loss of containment, we would be isolating that pipe and it would be depressuring accordingly. And then our emergency response, our alliances to emergency firms here in San Antonio, we would address that issue.
Okay, great, thank you.
I have a few questions, probably more related to the agreement itself. Not a whole lot of specifics, but just wanted some clarification on a couple of things. But before I get into that, just for reference, on a 20-inch line such as this, how does the 40 to 60 foot compare to what you might typically do on that size line, the depth, I guess?
Yeah, so a typical open cut pipeline where you have room to be able to ditch and workspace would be 48 inches in depth.
48, okay. Because I noticed in the agreement it says minimum 36, and in some cases, minimum of 12 inches.
Right.
I assume that you're stating here we're going 40, 60, so we're well beyond the 36 inch.
Yeah, the Reagan High School bore profile, right. It gets to a maximum depth of 40 to 60 feet.
Okay. And off the property, how deep is it going to be? I guess just on either side, east and west.
Yeah, the tie-in points would be 4 foot below grade.
Okay.
So that's we call it the entry and exit hole. Okay. That's where it would start the profile.
Okay. So it would be at that 48-inch depth.
Correct.
And that's to the top of the pipe, correct?
Correct.
Okay. A couple of things I noticed, there was some mention about potential above-ground appurtenances, I'll just call them, as that could be part of, I assume this is probably some standard language, but is there anything on the Reagan property that would be above ground, invisible, and that would have to be fenced off in the easement?
No, you won't even see a scar.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Mr. Byer, would there be potentially markers to indicate where the line is above ground?
There will be markers on the fence lines themselves.
Okay. So just wanted to be clear that we will have it marked above ground.
But there won't be any valves or, there was a list of some items in there that I would assume would be more visible, kind of big.
Not on Reagan.
Okay. I know there's some potential limitations to what we could build on the easement. I know right now it's a part of a softball field, and so it's either roadway, parking lot, very kind of surface level things. If in the event we were to ever have to expand or build something there, we would be prohibited from putting a building in that location.
Building with dwelling inside, you could not within just the easement proper.
Okay. And you stated that the crews working on this won't be on our property. Do you foresee any reason that they may have to access the Reagan property proper, to where we'd have to make sure we have background checks and work with our safety security team?
And we're going to be there. We're going to be here to partner with you every step of the way, and sound communication is our expectation. So there will be a period where we'll have to mob in and utilizing the road. But once the equipment's set up, all the workers and access will happen outside of the property.
Okay.
So minimal disruption.
Okay. I know if you're doing open trench, kind of laying this, you're removing trees and other existing vegetation. In this situation, we're not touching anything on the Reagan property, correct?
So near the entry hole, I'm just going to go back to that slide where it says HDD entry.
Yes.
Just to the right of that, there's a cluster of trees. I believe 4 or 5 trees will be impacted.
Okay.
And Mr. Byer, we did walk that site with the principal and operations staff and looked at that tree area. These are the typical small live oak trees and some shrub as well. In the agreement under Section 9, it does specify that they have to return of likeness. Replace. Right. So that removal of the trees, that's adjacent to that retirement community where they will be staging. And so the removal of the tree is to ensure that the equipment can get there. And then once it's done, then it's not a permanent need to keep that clear.
Okay. And do you know if we have a tree master plan or anything like that that we'll have to update to send to the city for permitting? I don't even know if you have to go through the city permitting or not, but.
We do.
Okay.
We definitely brought to their attention the tree ordinance concerns that
Sure.
we as a school district have to adhere to from the city of San Antonio. So their staff was aware of that as well. And it says in here, in the right-of-way agreement, that they will adhere to all applicable or state or federal laws or regulation. You'll see that under 7, including damages to gates, fences, vegetation, crops.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, we are working with the city arborist and the county on all aspects of the project.
Okay. You were mentioning I guess you have the pipe itself, and then you mentioned a couple other, I guess, coatings, I'm going to call them. My question was originally going to be, is this thing encased in something to help potentially mitigate rupture? But can you explain what those coatings are and what they do?
Yeah, so great question. The pipeline's not encased. However, it has a standard coating of FBE around it. And then based on this drill, it has a abrasive resistant coating on top of that. Because when you're building the pipeline and pulling it through, you want to make sure you have the right hardness on the outside so you don't get any scarring. Into the earlier Q&A, that soil resistance and lack of continuity as far as electricity being able to find a path, you want to be able to block that.
And can you explain what FBE is, please?
Fusion bond coating.
Okay. Oh, FBC. Or did you say E?
It's called FBE, but it's
okay.
basically a fusion bond coating.
Got it. Okay. All right. Okay, well, thank you very much. I think Mr. Jarrett has a question.
I just have one quick question. You pointed out that essentially you guys monitor the pipe from your control room, correct?
Correct.
And then you also mentioned that every 5 years, essentially, you send a robot out to verify that the integrity has not been compromised or anything.
Correct.
So my question is, if you discover something, what would it look like to repair or replace the piping? And would that essentially shut our facilities down from usage during that repair?
Great question. I think in that scenario, it depends on where it's located and what the order of magnitude of the issue is. But typically, if that were to happen, you would isolate that section. You would have standby pipe and be able to repair it within a 48-hour window. Keep in mind that this is conditioned natural gas, 1,000 BTU. So it doesn't necessarily have corrosion or the contaminants that you would find going closer to a drilling site or wellhead. This is very much conditioned and purified natural gas, if you will. So we don't anticipate from a corrosion, internal corrosion, to have any issues. However, not just in a 5-year interval, but our process on a routine basis is to look at various points on the pipeline and ensure that everything looks good on top of monitoring pressures and flows 24/7.
And considering that, if that was to occur, how would you guys partner with us to ensure that our programs remain operational at no cost to our district?
Yeah, I think in the event we had to shut the pipeline down, keep in mind it delivers into a network of systems. You know, the first thing you would do is, where's the redundancy points? If I'm stop and flow from the right, how do I get flow from the left to keep ultimately the customers that gas is provided have no interruption whatsoever?
Ms. Villarreal.
I just have 2 questions. As the pipe ages out, is there a way that you can run that robot through more frequently than every 5 years? Because as it ages, you will develop issues. I've seen what happens with gas lines. And over time, they do begin to rust. They do begin to have problems. So my concern is, as we get closer to the 100 years, that if you're just checking it every 5 years, you may miss something critical.
Sure. And I'm here to tell you our integrity management plans are customized. So in the scenario with an aging asset, 5 years is the minimum requirement. That doesn't mean that you wouldn't expedite that. In fact, we're proactive on several pipelines that we monitor as far as advancing the use of technology to ensure that we have a sound product every single day. So we as we see signs, or if there were to be anything alarming, we would make that adjustment accordingly.
Okay, my second question, and that's good. I'm glad to know that you're proactive. My second question is those trees. Are you going to dig them up and replant them elsewhere? Or are you just planning on just cutting them down?
So I think ultimately we'll work with you on site. You know, we'll remove them for construction, but we're open to partner with you if those are meaningful for the site. We want to do what's best for the school. If it's deemed that we need to replace those elsewhere, we can do that also.
I don't know, that would have to be a board decision, but a tree is a tree, and it is an oak tree, and it is part of, you know, the existing, and I just think it needs to be respected rather than just cut down, especially if they're healthy.
Yeah.
Now, if they're damaged or if they're sick, then that's another issue, but if they're healthy trees,
Mitch,
then...
are you aware that that part of the scope's been defined?
It is not at this point.
So we would collaborate with the school accordingly?
Yeah, that's correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments for these gentlemen? All right. Well, seeing none, we appreciate your time here today. Thank you for clarifying the scope and what we're doing. It sounds like this will be coming back to us for actual action, but I think this gave us a lot of information. And if anybody has any additional questions, we pass those through to Mr. Jarrett, Mrs. Caldwell, and they'll be able to get with you all.
Likewise,
So,
we appreciate your time, and we want to collaborate and be a long-term partner.
Thank you. I did have one last question. What is the timeline that you're looking at for the Reagan property specifically?
So we're looking to get approval by April, and that puts us in a really good spot to mobilize and get everything ready by the first part of May. And we expect to be complete with that section of construction by early July.
Okay. And then Mrs. Caldwell, that leads me to the next question. Does that conflict with any bond-related projects at Reagan? I know they won't necessarily be on our property, but just thinking through all things here.
Jorge Cabello, our Executive Director of Construction Management Engineering, as well as the campus principal, were part of the conversation, and there isn't anything that we expect to interfere with at that time.
Okay, great. Ms. Chigi?
Well, same question about Hill. What's the timeline, and will it conflict?
Yeah, again, at Hill, we won't be impacting anything inside the school fence line proper, but the construction activities within the corridor, if we get approval by April, those will be completed within the summertime months.
So we've spoken a lot about Reagan today, but to Tex Hill, that is along a utility easement that exists today. There is a sidewalk that goes from the neighborhood to Tex Hill. They are cutting that. It's not boring under the sidewalk. You know, they're going to cut through that and repair it. The sidewalk already has some damage, so we're actually going to get an improvement to the sidewalk in that area.
Shh, don't tell them.
Oh, sorry. And
We're happy to
again,
help.
we negotiated summer because the student traffic going to and from school, that sidewalk is used, but during the summer, it would be reduced.
Yes.
This is a silly question, but I'm just curious. How loud is the boring? Like, are neighborhoods going to be complaining about the noise? I don't know if it's something that's so far underground, they're just not hearing the drilling.
You know, there's obviously a motor on the drilling rig, but as it goes underground, I don't anticipate a lot of noise pollutants or issues with that.
Okay. Thanks.
No.
All
Sure.
right. Well, I think that is it. We appreciate y'all's time again. Thank you for coming and presenting, and we'll be talking soon, I'm sure.
Okay,
All
thank
right.
you.
Appreciate it. Item 10, Superintendent Comments. Mr. Jarrett.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have quite a few things here. We recently have had several students from Johnson High School deliver incredible performance at Regional Japanese Speech Contest at the San Antonio College. 5 of those students now head to the statewide competition at Rice University. We also have some exciting news from our high school art students. We have 52 NEISD works of art headed to State Visual Arts Scholastic event next month. We had nearly 700 entries, and more than 600 earned the highest regional rating. So congratulations to those students. We also have some students from our CTEC program who competed in the 2026 Skills USA district competition. We had students earn top awards in electrical construction, wiring, technical math, carpentry, dental assistant, tool ID, electrical code testing, and construction material ID. Several of them have advanced to the state competition as well. Again, we're still on the map again with Cyber Patriot teams from Johnson and Roosevelt who have made it to nationals again. This competition produces leaders who offer students interest in cybersecurity an opportunity to hone their skills and attention in the military or cybersecurity firms. And so we wish those students the best in their journey in nationals. There are a new school record also was set at Madison High School. Siani Ingram has shattered the shot put record that has stood for more than 20 years. In fact, she broke it twice. She recently broke the record with a throw of 42 feet, 2 inches. And then, she was like, that's not good enough. And so she said, let me try this again. And she topped her own record the next week with a throw of 43 feet and 5 inches. So congratulations to that student. Yeah. So why not keep breaking records? So also over at Lee High School, Rosie Pastrano is now the all-time leading scorer for Lee Girls High School basketball with history and recorded over 2,648 points this season. And so congratulations to her for breaking the school record in basketball. So clearly, as I review these things, and this is from all over our district, our students just continue to excel in the classroom, in their sports, in their fine arts. And I think that's just a special place that our schools provide them, but more importantly, the honor for us to serve our kids and be able to witness the great things they're doing. So considering all of that, I would also like you to turn your attention to the screen. I want you to take you back to a classroom in which one of our classrooms show our students some really cool things in the Roosevelt cluster. We have students in this cluster who are working with younger students in their feeder pattern and connecting them with members of the community through science. So please turn your attention to the screen.
Welcome to Camelot. Let's take a look and see what's happening inside.
Wolves, for example, they have good behavioral adaptation in hunting in packs.
What we do for Science Day is we have a fun activity. We come teach them a lesson that corresponds with what they're learning right now so that they can digest the information a little bit easier.
2, 1, go.
Science Day and Science Night came about because we saw a need at the elementary school and the middle school level for interactive science inquiry, basically, and exploration. We reached out to our cluster schools and let them know that Science National Honor Society has members that are willing to go and teach lessons.
The orange might survive. Just so kids have a love of learning and a love of science. Science Day is an outlet for that. These are things they need to know, but it's better for them to enjoy doing it.
Yeah! They're very cheerful and energetic, and they have me retain the information by actually doing the experiments.
Remember to make sure you see which cup you're grabbing it from.
I hope that they start to enjoy learning science. I feel like a lot of kids have a stigma against science, and I just really hope that they find a love for learning and a love for science, because I love science, and of course I want everybody to love science too.
Oh, this is already cool.
Science Day actually derives from Science Night. Amy, our president of SNHS, is actually the founder of Science Night. Every other Friday, we have an activity like this, but it's free and it's in the Malapert Library. So it's bi-weekly. That's where we got inspiration from Science Day, because she took the initiative to establish Science Night.
It's really been far-reaching as far as bringing a community around the Roosevelt cluster together.
This is how yours should look.
It makes me really happy that they're enjoying this and that they're starting to love learning.
It was quite fun. Around a 10 out of 10 lesson.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to meet the young lady that spearheaded this, and I just thought it would be a great opportunity to showcase how our students in our high schools are committed not just to their own studies, but really to foster a love of learning in our younger people. And so I felt like this was a great moment for us to share in our NEISD Way video moment. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Jarrett. That's always good to see. Moving on to item 11, board business. A possible action regarding certification of unopposed candidate, single-member District 2, May 2nd, 2026, trustee election. Mr. Bywaters.
Good evening. Mr. President, board members, Mr. Jarrett, executive staff, and guests. I have more election things for y'all tonight, but hopefully this is the last thing for a little bit. The February 13th filing deadline has come and gone. As a result, we have an unopposed candidate in single-member District 2. According to the Texas Election Code, Section 2.051, this means the election for single-member District 2 is eligible for cancellation. At this time, I move to cancel the election for single-member District 2 and take all necessary steps to complete that process. I'm happy to take any and all questions.
Did we have what would this save us by just order of magnitude? Because I know we have to pay to have these elections. Is this money that we had allocated now we can use somewhere else?
So it will save a little bit. I don't have the exact figure. I can't say it will be significant just because we're paying for transportation. We're paying still for all of these precincts. I can get you an exact figure, but I don't have that off the top of my head.
I know even just the advertising alone is a decent chunk of change. So.
It is, but we still will have to post that notice in the paper of record, so I can't imagine
and
that
we don't
will
have to
change.
post them separately, right? So
No,
this,
sir.
okay, it's all one thing.
It'll just be one posting. Yes, sir.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Okay. Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve as recommended?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Chigi. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Villarreal. Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Ms. Chigi?
Aye.
Mr. Byer? Aye. Ms. Villarreal?
Aye.
Ms. Landry?
Aye.
Thank you all very much. Motion passes 5-0. Appreciate
Thank you
it.
all.
Item 12, new business for possible board action. A, instruction in campus administration. 1, possible action regarding innovative math course elements of data science approval. Ms. Muskies? Dr. Muskies, sorry.
Thank you, President Byer, members of the board, Mr. Jarrett, executive staff, and guests. I would like to call up our Executive Director of Secondary Curriculum and Instruction, Dr. Reve Schaefer, and our Assistant Director of Secondary Math, Breanne Kennedy, to come forward to present this agenda item.
Good evening. Tonight we bring a recommendation to add an innovative high school course option as a pilot offering for 2026-2027. Texas Administrative Code 74.27 allows school districts to offer innovative courses that allow students to master knowledge, skills, and competencies beyond the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills with an approval of the Board of Trustees. The innovative course we bring forward tonight is Elements of Data Science, an advanced math course option. Elements of Data Science has been approved by the State Board of Education for the 2026-2027 school year and creates an opportunity to continue advanced math beyond statistics in a full year course worth 1 credit for 11th or 12th grade students. Elements of Data Science empowers students to mature as analysts, and the purpose of this course is to introduce students to statistical modeling and analysis beyond statistics and advanced placement statistics. It also empowers students to manipulate large data sets for the purpose of modeling, analysis, and visualization, and to use these skills to solve real-world problems. We request board approval to offer the course in 2026-2027 as a pilot at one high school where students and teachers have been inspired to extend their learning beyond statistics and advanced placement statistics. Based on student interest, expand advanced math offerings through this course as an honors math course offering. Thank you. Do you have any questions about this course?
Ooh, we got a lot of people reaching for their buttons here. We'll start down the end, Mrs. Thompson.
Okay. Who will be teaching this course?
So we have a teacher who has been preparing over the last year just because they're already a statistics teacher, but have been deepening their learning to be able to offer an advanced experience. So we have a teacher that's already in progress preparing and students that have been inspired to take the course.
Okay. Will you walk me through just what 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grades would look like? So if the students took this class, say, in 11th grade, what would 12th grade look like for them? You want to take that?
Yes. So it's possible, if once a student takes the course in 11th grade, they will have taken geometry and algebra 2 prior to that. And so their 12th grade year could be different offerings. It could be pre-calculus, it could be calculus, it could be college algebra.
Okay. And then I just want to make sure. So students, they are getting the honors multiplier, but it is not, this is not a college credit. There's no college credit, like with the AP, you would take the test, get the credit.
That's correct.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. So this is for people who really like statistics.
Who love statistics, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
And let me just add, this course is really becoming of great interest because we are becoming very rich with data, and there's not a lot of people that are understanding how to analyze it. And so this is allowing people to unpack math and make sense of it so that the end users can understand it better. So we see it as an opportunity for kids to have a strong future career in this field.
Oh, I do have one more question. So what would the teacher's day look like?
So that would be determined by the master schedule, and so we wouldn't know that right now, but if there were one section, there's a likelihood that the teacher has statistics, advanced placement statistics, and then elements of data science. So really honing in on statistics as an experience.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Ms. Chigi, did you have some questions?
Well, thank you. You asked many of my questions. Do you know the high school?
It's at Reagan High School.
Okay. And then I heard you say it is weighted. Is it weighted like an honors course?
Honors, yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So it sounds like you expect the teacher not to have a full load, just 1 or 2 classes, or what would be your?
So right now, the universe eligible to take it next year is about 36 students, and we currently have 19 students who have expressed interest in having this course on their schedule for next year.
Okay. So the teacher that's teaching it, how are we preparing her right now?
Well,
Or
this is
him?
already his area of expertise,
His, okay.
but he has been doing some further education beyond. So has continued to deepen his knowledge of statistics and is already in a program deepening his knowledge in statistics.
So the program, who's working with this person? We don't have a district person, right, that has.
Well, we have a team that is working with the
that has
entire
written
math
the
team.
curriculum, or where is this coming from?
We would have to do that together as a team, for sure. Yes.
This person will be getting support from our people.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
And the fact that it would be a pilot, the course is approved for 1 year, so that's why we're calling it a pilot this year. If it gets approved beyond this year, it would become an opportunity at more than one high school. And so we would want to prepare all of the curriculum, assessments, and work in collaboration with the teacher and the team at Reagan.
And then the resource for it, the textbook or the online or whatever, we have that, or we're buying that, or where are we with that?
There is not one that currently exists, so we would be creating this curriculum from the standards that have been defined in the innovative course.
Okay.
So, Ms. Chidgey, one of the things, the state releases innovative courses probably every year. Sometimes they stay on the books 3 or 4 years before they're finally put as a permanent course. And part of that is that design process and making sure that people understand the TEKS and the standards. Then they unpack that, and that's how they start to backwards design the curriculum for implementation. This is where you kind of learn some pain points along the way and then make adjustments accordingly. Then once it's finalized and they have a solid plan, then that's when it will be full implementation. That's why they're only starting with one school, so that way they can support that teacher fully during this implementation process.
Thank you. So I heard you say, I think I heard you say the State Board of Education approved this.
Yes, ma'am.
Are many districts across the state doing this? Are we?
No, one other is offering this course.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Are they currently offering it, or are they in the same boat we are where we're?
They are currently offering, I believe they're in year 3 of the offering, and had it expanded for 1 more year.
Okay. So I guess the question that I would have is, how did they define success in being able to do it for more than 1 year? And then how are we going to define that this is a either successful or not successful pilot program?
That's a great question. I think we will determine those metrics alongside the standards. Ms. Kennedy is already in contact with the other district who offers the course, so we'll learn from them their success metrics, but we also have some local as well. We have employers who are interested in this area, so that gives us an opportunity to kind of respond to some of the real-world problems that are offered currently in San Antonio.
Okay. And with that, I guess, well, you mentioned the number of students that you had 19 that are interested right now. Are we looking at capping what that classroom is going to be able to hold, or if all 36 kids want to do it, are we going to let all 36 kids? How does that look?
If all 36 kids want to do it, we'll work with the team at Reagan to work on their master schedule to make sure that students can take the course.
Okay. All right. And then I guess backing up even further, how was Reagan selected? Was this brought from Reagan as kind of a pilot program idea, or is this something that we had an interest there and so we went there? I'm just curious.
They brought it forward to our team, so
Okay.
Reagan inspired some students to think about what data science would look like and what statistics would look like. So it came from students and a teacher who inspired those students.
Great, thank you. Ms. Landry, you had some questions?
Yes, what is the overall cost for the program?
0 right now. Everything would be internal with the products that we already have and the resources we already have.
Okay, and so in developing the curriculum, training the teacher, and all of those things are within the current budget, we wouldn't.
Yes, ma'am. So we currently offer advanced math support on every other course that is in advanced math. We would just incorporate this into that support as well.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions or comments? All right, thank you all very much for the presentation. With that, do I have a motion to approve the innovative math course Elements of Data Experience, or Data Science, as presented?
So moved.
We'll give Ms. Thompson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Landry. Oh, hang on, sorry. All right, Ms. Thompson?
Aye.
Ms. Chidgey?
Aye.
Mr. Byer? Aye. Mrs. Villarreal?
Aye.
Mrs. Landry?
Aye.
Thank you all. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you all again. Item 2, possible action regarding K-12 mathematics instructional materials adoption. Dr. Muskies.
Thank you again. I would now like to ask our Assistant Directors of Elementary and Secondary Mathematics, Cheryl Moots and Brianne Kennedy, to come forward to present this agenda item.
Good evening, President Byer, Mr. Jarrett, and esteemed board trustees. We are honored to be here tonight to present our comprehensive process and final recommendation for the K-12 Mathematics Instructional Materials Adoption. These materials are slated for implementation beginning in the 2026-27 school year. I'm Cheryl Moots, and joining me is Breanne Kennedy. Together, we serve as the Assistant Directors of K-12 Mathematics for NEISD. Our presentation will outline the evaluation framework and the data-driven recommendations we've reached. Following the presentation, we look forward to answering any questions you may have. This adoption is being conducted in accordance with the new guidelines established by House Bill 1605, which mandates the Instructional Materials Review and Approval Process, or IMRA. According to these new guidelines, the State Board of Education retains the ultimate authority regarding the process, criteria, and approvals of all instructional materials, which must meet the requirements for high-quality designation, which are noted here. It is important to note that all materials reviewed during our internal process were selected from the approved high-quality instructional materials list published by the State Board of Education. Under Texas Education Code 48.307, school districts are allocated an annual entitlement of $40 per student for the purpose of acquiring high-quality instructional materials. Any unexpended funds are carried over from year to year.
Our process was initiated during the summer of 2025 with a comprehensive understanding of our internal adoption procedures and a thorough assessment of the district's needs, particularly concerning mathematics instruction. In the fall, a timeline of events was backwards mapped, aiming for approval by the conclusion of the third quarter. This timeline was established to ensure adequate teacher training, material acquisition, and implementation of those materials by the fall of 2026. The timeline incorporated deadlines, which served to maintain accountability throughout the process and facilitate progress monitoring. The second phase of our process involved the formation of a lead committee comprised of teachers, math leaders, and specialists. This committee was tasked with creating an internal rubric that further defined the needs of our NEISD teachers and students and ensuring consistency with the district's instructional goals. Following the publication of the official list of approved HQIM resources by the Texas Education Agency, or TEA, in November 2025, we selected materials that satisfied our initial criteria. Subsequently, the lead committee evaluated these resources using the internal rubric to determine which would advance for further evaluation by NEISD teachers and stakeholders in the spring. Throughout this process, we maintained regular channels of communication to ensure transparency. In Phase 3, we established an additional avenue for communication by designating a campus-based point of contact at each school, specifically for the mathematics adoption process. These campus points of contact functioned as liaisons between the district committee and their respective campuses. Their responsibilities included receiving physical materials, creating access points for stakeholders, monitoring the progress of evaluations on their campuses, and furnishing evidence of participation and communication to their communities. Furthermore, in Phase 3, we established a partnership with publishers to guarantee our stakeholders had access to both physical and digital materials for evaluation, and to secure their participation in all 4 of our showcase events. During Phase 4, we solicited and gathered feedback from all stakeholders, including educators, administrators, students, parents, and community members. Teachers actively participated in the review process and submitted official evaluations of the instructional materials. We maintained complete transparency throughout the process and ensured that the community had access to the materials by establishing and publishing a dedicated math adoption website. Furthermore, we ensured public awareness through social media communications by posting information about the adoption on the NEISD and campus websites, thereby encouraging all stakeholders to help shape the future of math in NEISD through their participation. We hosted 4 publisher showcases, inviting all stakeholders to attend presentations and pose questions directly to the resource publishers. In Phase 5, educators submitted votes for their preferred instructional resource. Teacher votes, feedback from all stakeholders gathered in Phase 4, and the financial costs of the packages supplied by the publishers were all considered in formulating the final recommendations.
This timeline serves as a visual representation of all events described on the previous slide. This image allows the viewer to see the location and duration of each phase, as well as the specific dates of our 4 showcase events, strategically nestled within both the review window and the community feedback window. I'll pause here for just a moment for looking at this slide. During Phase 4, 16 community stakeholders attended the 3 publisher hearings, and 40 responses were submitted on the community feedback form. The dedicated math adoption website received 1,338 views from 688 unique users with an engagement rate of 74%, indicating that 74% of the users interacted with the website in some way. A total of 867 elementary teachers out of 1,073 evaluated the kinder through 5th grade materials, and 190 secondary teachers out of 300 evaluated the materials for 6th through 8th grade math, Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2. This means 81% of elementary teachers and 63.3% of 6th grade through 12th grade teachers participated in the evaluation process. In Phase 5, 753 kinder through 5th grade teachers cast a vote for their preferred math instructional materials. This represents 70% of NEISD elementary teachers and 87% of eligible voters who completed an evaluation. Amplify Desmos Math was selected by 72.4% of the voters. Based on the votes, feedback, and pricing quotes received, the lead committee formally recommends the purchase of Amplified Desmos Math for kinder through 5th grade teachers and students for a 4-year term at an estimated cost of $3,656,930.08.
For our middle school courses, 79 6th through 8th grade teachers participated in the evaluation process. Of those, 75 teachers cast a vote for their preferred instructional materials. Savis and Vision Plus was selected by 54.7% of the voters. For our high school courses, 111 teachers participated in the evaluation process. Of those, 104 teachers cast a vote for their preferred instructional materials. Savis and Vision Plus was selected by 63.5% of the voters. Based on the votes from teachers, feedback from both parents and students, and pricing quotes received, the lead committee formally recommends the purchase of Savis and Vision Plus for 6th through 8th grade, Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2 for 4 years at the estimated cost of $2,468,111. Cosenza and Associates Algebraic Reasoning is currently the only HQIM approved by the SBOE. The lead committee formally recommends the purchase of algebraic reasoning for the algebraic reasoning course for 4 years at the estimated cost of $135,100. McGraw-Hill's Miller Precalculus is currently the only HQIM approved by the SBOE. The lead committee formally recommends the purchase of Miller Precalculus for the Precalculus course for 4 years at the estimated cost of $100,276.92. A comprehensive summary of all recommendations presented for approval is provided here, with the total estimated cost amounting to $6,360,418. What questions can we answer for you today?
Thank you all very much, and thank you to you two and whoever else helped put this together. I mean, I know we have a 186-page document in our packet, so this is not light work, so we appreciate everybody's efforts in doing this. So with that, I will turn it over to questions. Ms. Chigi.
Well, I do first want to say thank you. I know the amount of time you put into this and the training of teachers and so forth. It looks very thorough. I'm very impressed with your work. How did we do with staying within the allotted money? Are we over? Are we under? Are we?
That is I guess we don't have the answer to that question right now, but we could certainly get it.
So let me jump in. So one of the things, and if you saw at the beginning, they talked about the entitlements of $40 per student. That doesn't touch our instructional materials allotment at all. So that's outside of it. So we actually access these dollars through entitlement. And since we didn't have any HQIM the previous year, those dollars also have been rolling. So through this purchase, we essentially will be only using entitlements, I believe will cover the entire cost, if I'm not mistaken. And then we will barely touch our IMA, which affords us the opportunity to give additional resources to our teachers in other areas if we need to without touching our local budget.
I was doing the math, and it looked like you were well over the amount, so that's a relief. Thank you.
So that $6 million or $6.3 million is theoretically completely covered without touching the local budget.
It will be very close, and none of it will touch the local budget. Either is the entitlement dollars or is instructional materials allotment. But with them purchasing HQIM, we actually gain additional dollars per student for the purchase of these materials.
Ms. Thompson.
Do special education teachers, will they have access to all digital resources and physical resources? They will. Okay. What about assistants, instructional assistants?
Mm-hmm.
They will.
Yes.
Okay. That was it.
Are there any yearly costs with these, or does a one-time covers the entire 4 years?
It's the 4 years, and it covers that. And I think one of the things that I think they mentioned, but I also mentioned, part of this is also it has some parent components in there, so the parents can help their kiddos at home with the work. And so that was one of the also supportive reasons why they chose these items.
I had a question. Workbooks come with this for elementary? I think I read that.
Yes, that's actually one of the very strong feedback that we got from parents, communities, families at home and teachers. All of our stakeholders are in agreement that student workbooks are a priority, and so we made sure to include that in the pricing.
And so they'll be purchased every year, not just the first year?
Correct. The pricing includes all 4 years, though.
Okay,
yes.
Thank you.
Will the old materials, I'm just doing this because I'm a teacher and I know, will all the old materials be removed from the campuses?
Yes.
Yes. So that nobody accidentally uses old materials?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks.
Yes.
Does anybody else have any other questions or comments? All right, seeing none. Do I have a motion to approve the 2026 instructional materials purchase for K through 12 mathematics as presented?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Chidgey. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Villarreal. Mrs. Thompson?
Aye.
Mrs. Chidgey?
Aye.
Mr. Byer? Aye. Mrs. Villarreal?
Aye.
Mrs. Landry?
Aye.
Thank you all very much. Motion passes 5-0. Again, appreciate everybody's hard work.
Thank you so much.
Good luck getting it implemented.
Yeah, it's a big job.
All right, item B, Business Services, 1 possible action regarding Efficiency Committee update. Mrs. Lackhorn.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board, Mr. Jarrett, executive staff, and guests. Tonight, we're going to give you the highlights of a lot of hours and data that the Efficiency Committee reviewed this year. Just a reminder, the Efficiency Committee was formed as part of our Balanced District Scorecard underneath our stewardship element about managing and planning to use our funds and resources responsibly and looking at programs and practices, procedures, and prioritizing our facilities needs. Sorry, I just didn't want to read those to you as we've almost gotten them memorized at this point in time. But under these 2 items, we've formed this committee. We met 5 times. I had to count that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. We met 5 times this year. And throughout it, like I said, lots and lots of data that we looked at in different ways. Just a refresher, last year the committee also met. So these are prior year recommendations from last year. Their first recommendation last year was related to campus consolidations. And then their second recommendation last year, I keep hitting the wrong button thinking the slide changed, so if you're wondering why there's a disconnect between my words, that it's just me not pushing the right button. Okay, so the prior year recommendation, the second one, was about streamlining bus routes. And so we did both of these things for 25-26. And at our first meeting, we went over some of that information, gave them the results of that, their recommendations and how we implemented them. So our first meeting, Dr. Micah actually gave them a task in addition to anything that they wanted to take a look at. And that task we'll cover in a minute. We first started with, like I said before, going over the results from prior year. So they made the recommendation to consolidate our schools. And so you've already seen this slide. We presented it to you first. We saved roughly $6.6 million through that 3-school consolidation. But when Dr. Micah asked the committee to take a look at one particular topic and then any other topics that they want to address. And that topic was the possibility of open enrollment. So our very first meeting, we introduced this topic. One of the things we did was looking at maps like this. This group actually spends a lot of time looking at maps. And we pointed out all the areas, districts that border us, that are in our area. Several of these districts already have open enrollment, and so they're accepting students from outside their borders. And so this is where we started. We also did some research trying to find what kind of evidence and research-based information is out there about when school districts open enrollment. I'll be honest, there's not a ton of research that is out there, and even this is fairly old. But there were some things of interest here. First question being who participates in open enrollment, and obviously that tends to be parents who have means to transport their kids. Because as a school district, if we were to open our enrollment and accept students from outside our boundaries, that would become a transportation issue if you were to try to tackle it any other way than having the parents bring the kids to school. Some of the common reasons that parents would choose an open enrollment school is for quality or safety, the environment, and then very logically, the proximity to where they work or their home or another facility like sibling in a daycare. We always are interested in how student outcomes are related to these types of things. Unfortunately, the studies differ. And so some studies, it looks like better outcomes for students, and other studies, it looks like there's no impact. But most studies did reflect that parent satisfaction had increased, with the exception of having to provide that day-to-day transportation. Some of the points we talked about that first meeting, when you're considering open enrollment, obviously we're funded based off of our average daily attendance, so more students will mean more revenue. So that's definitely something to consider when talking about opening our borders. We already have a school choice system in place, though it would probably require some modifications. We would probably need to plan to cap or prioritize placements, because some of our facilities are already relatively full, and so you wouldn't want to overpromise and then overfill a campus. We would see increased competition in different areas, so class rank, athletics, fine arts, while bringing in additional students. And then, something else to consider, would other districts nearby decide to open their borders too? So those are just some things we talked about at our first meeting. At the end of every meeting, the committee members have the opportunity to talk about, or to submit ideas for what they want to see at the next meeting, and then they all get to vote. And so the items that get the most votes are the items that we bring back to the next meeting. So we're really trying to let them dictate the conversation. So from meeting number 1 to meeting number 2, they requested to review school capacity and enrollment at a deeper level. And so in meeting number 2, we looked again at that cost per student, our capacity, our utilization, like we did the year before. So we started off talking about enrollment, and in 2013, 2014, we hit our peak enrollment of over 68,000 students, and as you can see, we've had a decline since then. 25, 26, the current year, we were sitting at 53,744, or thereabouts, around snapshot, which is at the end of October. And over that period of time, that's about a 16,000 student loss, or 21%. Taking those numbers and looking at our utilization of the facilities, we have, at this point in this year, 3 campuses that are high schools that are over 75% of their utilization, and no middle schools and 4 elementaries. We have 4 high schools that are between 50 and 75%, 11 middles, and 22 elementaries. And then below 50%, we have 2 middles and 18 elementaries. Some of our analysis included our operating cost per student. And as we've talked in years past, we use 4 components. It's salaries and benefits of the staff at the campus, all the purchases made for the campuses, such as supplies or any training that they pay for. Our maintenance work orders, those are costs tracked. Campuses don't have to pay for them. The maintenance department pays for them, but those are costs tracked by the maintenance department in regards to the repairs associated with that campus, and then our utilities associated with that campus. On average for 24-25, our high school operating cost per student was about $7,700. $7,600 for middle school, and $9,400 for elementaries. The ranges, though, are where you really see a variation. So high schools range from $6,300 to $9,400. Our middle schools were between $5,600 and $10,500. And our elementaries range from $7,200 to more than double at $15,800. And a lot of what drives this, as we've talked in the past, is overhead. So as your campuses shrink in size, the overhead has fewer students to absorb that cost, and so that cost per student ends up growing at smaller campuses. All right, so That meeting was a lot of data. And we asked them again what they wanted to look at. So for meeting number 3, we talked about topics such as magnet programs, our potential savings from consolidations, and dual language programs. One of the things we looked at was our magnet enrollment. And so just here is some data points on where our magnet programs and their grade levels. A lot of acronyms there. AMP is our agri-science program at Madison. DATA is at Roosevelt and White. CETA is our Space Engineering Academy at Roosevelt and Kruger. STEM is at Nimitz and Lee. Our Early College High School is at MacArthur. And as you can see, we're in our second year of that program. ICSI is our cybersecurity program. CTEC is our construction, auto, health program over at Perrin Central. And NEISD is our School of Arts over at Lee. At this meeting, we also talked about that overhead concept that I was just talking about and how that is so closely tied to our cost per student. And we took a look at the different staff that every campus would have, whether or not you were a large campus or a small campus. These are the types of staff members that each elementary would have. Middle school, same concept. These are the general overhead staff members that we would have. And then every campus, no matter whether it's elementary or high, would have obviously utility costs, custodians, and when you add that to your staffing, your basic overhead costs for an elementary school is just over $1 million and 1.3, nearly 1.3 for middle schools. When you do a consolidation, you save this overhead cost with a few exceptions if there is a unique situation. In addition to efficiency in staffing, which then drives additional cost savings, which is why when we consolidated our 3 campuses this year, we saved $6 million instead of $3 million, which the overhead was 3, and then the efficiency in the staffing and the teachers drove additional savings. At this point in time in our 3rd meeting, we also talked about dual language. That was a topic that was talked about a lot in year 1. It did not make it to the recommendations last year, but it was definitely something that they brought back and we discussed. And so we looked at what percentage of our total enrollment or dual language program is, and you can see here we're averaging consistently at our elementary grade levels a good 20 to 25% here. And we also looked at different let me try to pronounce that word a little bit better, programmatic things. We took a look at campuses that were small in size, driving inefficiency, and that were close together. So we're only looking at campuses that would be close together and small in size. Looking at 2 campuses that are very nearby, when they are both running both programs, monolingual and dual language, we require 42 teachers to have it at both campuses. If one campus was to have the monolingual program and the other campus had the dual language program, we would gain efficiencies by combining those students and only need 36 teachers, saving the district 6 teachers. And again, I clicked the wrong button. Okay, so those were the kind of concepts we talked about in meeting number 3. And then in the 4th meeting, we talked some more about consolidations. We came back to open enrollment and did a little bit more on dual language. I'm going to get this right and click the right button here soon. I'm sorry. One of the things we looked at, the committee wanted to know is consolidated students, did they all stay with the district? What happened? So looking at our enrollment snapshot in 24-25, we had just over 1,000 students at those campuses. During last spring, we had 50 students use school choice to go to a campus other than where their new boundary mapped them. And then we had 131 students leave the district. Now, on average, Driscoll and Wilshire, those are fairly similar numbers to what their normal loss is every year. Clear Springs was a little bit higher than what their normal loss is, though. When we got back to an open enrollment, I want to point out something here. We talked about this being very hypothetical. So, if we were to open enrollment, we might need additional things. Pupil personnel would be responsible for managing these requests, so they might need more staff. Special ed has to, for any school choice requests for students who have special ed services, they have to review to make sure that the services can be provided at the campus that's being requested. And we were very pessimistic in putting these together and saying what we think we could possibly need. That school choice web app reprogramming is a pretty high number because we were getting pretty aggressive in our estimates. And just trying to think of that worst case scenario, we would probably want to make that program a little bit more robust and user-friendly. To make it clear, we would have to delineate, where you are now versus, and so who lives outside the boundaries. So we'd have to make it a little bit more robust in its functionality. I finally just gave up and put question marks on marketing and information distribution. We typically don't spend a lot of money there, but I don't, we still would need to distribute information, and there still would be a cost, but at this point in time, it would be too early to estimate. So, but we still were thinking, hey, we're probably going to have some cost associated with if a choice was made to open our enrollment. Looking at that, you're looking at $245,000, give or take. When a new student on average generates about $8,600 to $8,900 per student. And so you're looking at roughly, once you hit 30 students in additional enrollment, then you'd be covering these very hypothetical cost estimates. Another thing we looked at is just very detailed enrollment information for dual language. Looking at where those kids are and how many kids are in each program. As you can see, we have some pretty sizable programs, over 400 kids. Larkspur, Roan Forest, Stone Oak, Vineyard Ranch, they're all over 400, pretty sizable programs. But we definitely can see some smaller programs. Your, Regency Place there is below 200. Oak Grove's right at 200. I love even numbers. So the whole program, we're looking at roughly 5,000 kids in our elementary campuses here, but varying degrees and sizes of programs throughout the district. All right, so bless these people. They had to listen to me for 2 hours, multiple times. I'm sure they were like, this is how the board feels during a budget study session. So in meeting number 5, they did the hard work of defining the language of any recommendations that they wanted to pass along. And I gotta say, that part can be excruciating because they get very in the weeds on it. And but when we got done, they had 4 recommendations for the superintendent. The first recommendation, and for once, I'm going to read you word for word on a slide, I'm sorry. The first recommendation is proceed with opening enrollment eligibility to students outside NEISD boundaries. It is recommended that NEISD leaders and staff establish clear policies and procedures that ensure applicants meet and maintain district standards and that capacity is available to absorb the applicants. So throughout our discussions, one of the things we talked about is, can you put parameters on who you accept, and are there kind of admission standards? And that's definitely something you can do as long as you don't illegally use race or any of the protected classes to make those distinguishments, right? And so definitely something they looked at, something they recommended. These recommendations aren't in particular order. These are the orders that they finished their work on that night. So their first one was addressing the tasks that Dr. Micah gave them. Second recommendation was to continue efforts to improve campus efficiency and reduce the budget deficit by consolidating low enrollment and low capacity utilization campuses over the next 3 years. Again, they did not want to get into the weeds and tell the district what campuses or why or how, but they did want to provide guidance that they think continued consolidations over the next 3 years are worthwhile. Third recommendation was to consider possible cost-saving options related to the dual language program, such as campus and/or program consolidation. So one of the things they recognized pretty quickly was that if you consolidate a campus that has a dual language program, that in of itself may make dual language programs across the district more efficient, right? Because you're creating those efficiencies whether you're consolidating the program or the entire campus. So that's part of the logic behind this recommendation. The fourth and final recommendation was for us to review our CTE and magnet programs for efficiency and growth opportunities. So we spent a lot of time talking about those programs, and I think obviously district-wide there's a lot of interest, there's a lot of opportunities there, and so they definitely want the district to continue to look at those things. Tonight, we're not bringing you any action specific to those recommendations. We're just asking for your feedback on whether or not you want to direct administration to develop a priority list of action items related to those recommendations from the Efficiency Committee. And now I'll take any questions.
Thank you for that presentation. I know this is the topic that nobody ever really wants to talk about, but we're going to be faced with it on a continual basis. So appreciate the Efficiency Committee's work in continuing to meet. I know it's a lot of time on those people's part, so thank you for that. But so just to be clear, tonight, if we do make any decisions, let's say regarding open enrollment, we're not suggesting that it's immediately open enrollment. We're just asking administration to look into it further. Is that kind of the layman's term of that? Okay.
You would be directing us to bring you recommendations related to those.
Okay. All right. So I will open it up for questions. Ms. Thompson.
I just want to say thank you to the people who served on the Efficiency Committee, because it really is a dedication of time, and thank you to you, Susie, for just being the facilitator. And I did want people to know you truly never came in with an agenda. It was what people wanted. And I also wanted people to know that the Efficiency Committee the composition is unique in that there are people in there whose students have been affected by the consolidation. So they're a very good voice on things that would go well, things that could have been done better. So I just appreciate the group, and thank you for the time. And this is very much an accurate reflection of the work that they did.
Were there any items out of these, or was there anything that just kind of floated right below the four that we have a recommendation on? I mean, because these are pretty broad categories, but
nothing jumps out. We spent a lot of effort on that CTE magnet program language. It started more narrow and then they decided to walk that back a little bit. A lot of interest in growing those programs, and so but also looking for efficiency at the same time. And so that's why it's coupled with, and let me get it up on again, I was going to hit the wrong button. Hold on. Yeah, so that's why it was both efficiency and growth were both mentioned. But as far as, I think dual language was the topic that missed out last year in making their recommendation, so they brought it this year. But this pretty much covers all the major buckets that they talked about this year.
When you were talking about the magnet programs, I noticed on the list, ISA was not on that list.
So ISA, sometimes we call it a magnet, but it's actually its own high school.
Okay.
And so it gets a little back and forth, but we definitely can consider it as part of that as we do this kind of work.
Sure. I just wanted to make sure that was clarified because, since it has its own principle. If we are to, I guess, move forward with these recommendations, what is an approximate timeline for bringing priorities back to us? So we're looking at for the end of the year, next year, the summer, next week?
Yeah, Mr. Byer, if the board recommends that we bring back a plan or recommendation, we would try to bring that back in April. One of the things we want to do is make sure we bring something, get feedback from you guys, and make sure that we're focused on the right things in a more chronological order of what can be done first, second, third, and fourth. And so we would try to get that to you before the end of the school year for sure.
And not that money is the absolute deciding factor, because we know there's a lot that goes into this, but is there a number that is sort of a target, a goal that we have to kind of stay on track to get ourselves out of the red?
So that changes daily.
Sure.
Right now, we would want to target somewhere between around 20 million.
Right.
In that ballpark.
Okay. Because I know within the last couple of years it was, well, we got to do 10 million every year for the next, 3 or 4 years, and it'll get us there.
So Mr. Byer, and I think this is important for all of us, the variable continues to change. As enrollment decreases, we have to look at that variable. Now we have a voucher system, we have to look at that new variable. And so to Susie's point, they're making projections based on the current situation, but they also have to make long-term projections on what could be. And so it's just important that we really evaluate our program in the sense of quality versus quantity, because we won't be able to sustain all the quantity based on the new variables that's being presented to us. And so I do want to publicly recognize the Efficiency Committee, putting in the extra time, the effort, and being very intentional to make sure our district continues to prepare itself for any changes that come forward. And so I just wanted to take a time and recognize those folks for all their time and effort too.
Ms. Landry?
Regarding the campus utilization, was there any discussion on changing boundaries to better utilize the schools? So we have 3 high schools that have over 75%, and that's probably not the best example, probably the elementary schools with 4 over 75% and 22 between 50 and 75, but then 18 below 50. Was there any analysis to see if adjusting the boundaries would help distribute that better?
Because the overhead is such a key component to costs and the cost per student, we did not spend a ton of time talking about that, because then you're kind of spreading your inefficiencies. When you look at an enrollment loss of 16 to 17,000 students, we've consolidated 3 campuses at this point in time. And so when you compare to where we were back then, you can tell we're definitely less efficient than we were when we had 68,000 students. And so that overhead is such a driver in the cost per student that moving students between campuses and maintaining the same number of campuses, you're still holding on to that overhead cost on those per campus basis. And so that's part of why you wouldn't prioritize that over maybe looking at consolidating some of our less efficient or more costly campuses.
And so if that consolidation doesn't become a priority or a discussion point, would balancing the utilization become a discussion point? So if there wasn't a decision or a desire to consolidate campuses, would balancing the distribution?
It definitely is, anything that could save us money would definitely be something worth pursuing for certain. It's, as you get smaller, you become, we lose that savings in staffing. And so pushing students from one campus to another campus will make one more efficient and make the other one less efficient. And so in very few situations would you see a significant
balance.
cost savings.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Ms. Landry, due to the number of inefficient elementaries, that poses an even greater challenge for us to get to a point of no consolidation. And so that's something that we will have to take into consideration too, just due to the sheer volume of schools that are working at a very inefficient level.
I have a question. In the past, when we have discussed opening up our borders, we were told that it was a bad idea because we would have problems. We could have kids come in that maybe were having, issues in other districts and things like this. Is there a way for us to ensure that we would not be bringing in?
So the efficiency committee was very specific in adding this language that it's recommending that leaders and staff establish clear policies and procedures. And so implied in that policy is kind of the emission standards that we would be looking for. And so we actually spent time talking to our attorney about what we're legally allowed to do in order to set those standards. And so that was definitely a concern the efficiency committee had. It's actually a talking point that we spent quite a bit of time on. But once we knew that we could define things and use those standards, then I think that alleviated some of that concern. And so that would be part of any policies that would come forward out of that recommendation.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
It's okay. So along those lines of open enrollment, that is something I'm really interested in looking at savings and looking at specificity. When we do administrative transfers, and I wonder, do we still do this? We say their attendance has to be good, their discipline has to be good, all of those things. And if it's not, then we can revoke that. So I wonder if we can't just set this up the same way where, you've been absent 14 times, you're gone. Maybe it's too far for you. Maybe it's just not working out for you.
One of the things, I couldn't show you every single slide that we covered in those 5 nights, but one of the things that we did look at were policies that other districts who have done this. And so their revocation policy was, we looked at several options on that because several districts have had put that in there, like, this type of discipline issue, you're going to lose your privilege of coming to one of our schools. And so that was something we looked at and was something that they encouraged us to incorporate.
Any other questions or comments at this point? Okay. Seeing none, I will ask, does anybody have a motion, or do I have a motion to uphold the efficiency committee recommendations and direct administration to develop a priority list of action items?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Landry. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Villarreal. Mrs. Thompson?
Aye.
Mrs. Chigi?
Aye.
Mr. Byer? Aye. Mrs. Villarreal?
Aye.
Mrs. Landry?
Aye.
All right. Motion passes 5-0. Ms. Lackhorn, thank you very much, and we'll look forward to seeing what comes out of this. Item C, operations. 1, possible action regarding renaming of Wilshire Elementary to the Wilshire Safety Training Center. Mrs. Caldwell.
Thank you, Mr. Byer. We're bringing you tonight a recommendation to rename the facility that was Wilshire Elementary School to be the Wilshire Safety Training Center. That is the new direction that facility is going in. And so we're asking your consideration tonight of that new name to align that program that is there and the future goals for that facility.
Does anybody have any questions? Ms. Landry?
I do. Were there any surveys or anything done in the community to fill out the change of the name and the potential community feedback?
No, ma'am.
Any other questions or comments?
I just have a comment. It's no longer an elementary school, so it really doesn't need to say elementary on there, and I think that would be confusing to have that remain as a name. And actually, I was wondering about that a couple of weeks ago. I thought, are they really going to leave it like this? But you're answering my question.
So with that, if there is a name change, where is that within our budget to put a new sign out there?
Yes, so the marquee, the letters that are on the building, we did experience that with Clear Spring Elementary. We had to change that to the Northeast Alternative Center. So we do have some history of that cost of changing a marquee and changing the building lettering, and it's very minimal.
Any other questions? All right, do I have a motion to approve the renaming of Wilshire Elementary School to the Wilshire Safety Training Center?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Thompson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Chidgey. Mrs. Thompson?
Aye.
Mrs. Chidgey?
Aye.
Mr. Byer? Aye. Ms. Villarreal?
Aye.
Mrs. Landry?
Aye.
All right, motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Mrs. Caldwell. Item D, consent. 1, instruction and campus administration. A, off-campus physical activity agency certification for middle school. 2, business services. A, bid items. B, over 100,000 purchases. 3, minutes from February 9th, 2026, February 12th, 2026, February 16th, 2026, and February 23rd, 2026 for end of consent. Do I have anybody wishing to pull an item for consideration? All right, seeing none, do I have a motion to approve consent as presented?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Landry. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Chidgey. Mrs. Thompson?
Aye.
Mrs. Chidgey?
Aye.
Mr. Byer? Aye. Ms. Villarreal?
Aye.
Mrs. Landry?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Item 13, reports. A, interim financial and management reports. B, awarded bid report. C, closed PO report. D, quarterly investment report. E, federal grants report. F, donations report. G, open records request report. Does anybody want to discuss any of those items? Those have all been provided to you. Item 14, discussion and possible action regarding board members' requests for items to be placed on a future agenda and/or requests for reports for the administration. Does anybody have a request this month? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 15, adjournment. In the